So today we're going to wait and see who shows up before we actually begin the practice. But I've been thinking a lot about resilience and how, in the face of not only this pandemic, but in the face of trauma, in the face of adversity, how we can show up in our own lives. How do we show up for ourselves? How do we show up for the people around us? And, what does that look like and feel like? So I invite you for the first part of this practice to just really, any ideas you have or misconceptions you have about yourself, or, you're stuck at home, you're still working from home, or maybe you're not working, you have your children there, you're trying to homeschool and, try to make or bring some normalcy. And there can, with all of that stuff going on, there can be quite a bit of judgment that can come up. So I invite you to just, maybe give that judgment, that inner critic, a voice, so that when we acknowledge things and we can put a name to something, tangible, then that helps kind of take away some of its power. So just close your eyes for a moment. Just notice which parts of your body are touching the mat. You can be sitting, or you can, definitely lie down on your mat. Allow your body to become heavy. Feel which parts are touching the floor, the mat. Notice how your breath feels as you inhale and exhale. And then just start to notice any thoughts that arise. And as they come into your mind, just acknowledge them. When you're out there on your own, if you want to say it out loud, you certainly can. If nothing's coming to your mind, that's great. You're a step ahead of most of us. And then just continue to breathe here for a few more moments, seeing what comes up. Noticing how when one of these thoughts come up, like, I don't know, I'm not good enough, or I can't sit still, or every time I, try to do this stretching stuff, my body feels weird, I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever is coming up for you, take a moment, acknowledge it, and also notice which physical sensations arise with that. Like, notice how your shoulders might tighten. You may create some tension in your face. So it's not just, a mental thing that comes to mind. It's also something very physical that can happen. And then take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top. And then just forcefully exhale. Letting go of all of those thoughts that, don't really serve you. And we'll do that again. Inhale through your nose. Hold it at the top. And then exhale. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and open your eyes. We're going to start standing. So just come to a standing position. Your feet can be about hips distance, maybe a little bit wider than your hips. And just rock from your heels to your toes a few times. Noticing the four corners of your feet. The physical practice that we're working on today is we're gonna focus on our back bodies, our neck, our entire back bodies. And the practice is a little bit different. So here we're gonna create tension in our body. We're gonna breathe with that tension, but we're gonna keep everything pretty active today. And that should hopefully release some connective tissue. You're gonna notice there might be some sensations that you haven't felt before. And, like I said, that's okay. Just kind of go with it. And then just gently, you can either just sway with abandonment, or if you want to make it a little bit more controlled, keeping your arms tucked by your side, releasing through your spine here. You may need a hand towel or a belt at one point for some shoulder openers that we're going to do. Yeah. And then just come back to center here, shake through your hands. You can roll through your shoulders a few times, forwards and backwards. Taking your feet a little bit wider than your hips, allowing your knees to kind of come into the center. You're bending into your knees a bit, releasing your shoulders down your back. Trying to keep your abdominals intact, keeping your hips and ankles in alignment. Maybe roll through your neck a few times as we're just hanging out here. Coming back up to center, toes go to the front of the room. We're going to start to look like we're coming into a squat. We've done this before. You're going to push your booty back. You can do it this way. Push your booty back. And you're going to start to reach for the floor. If that's not working for you today, you can always stay right here. You can grab a stool or something to hold on to. But try to release your fingertips to the floor or to, if you don't have blocks, something like a block. And then you can just gently start to maybe rock to the forward and backwards on your toes here. You're going to feel some engagement in your legs, and that's normal. And just start to straighten your legs. You can come into a bind, grabbing your elbows. If you need a little bit more of a shoulder opener, you can interlace your fingers, releasing forward into this first forward fold. Shaking your head yes and no. You can find some movement here, or you can just stay stagnant. Trying to release any tension in your face, in your jaw, as you continue in this forward fold. Go ahead and release your hands. We're going to slowly roll back up to standing. We're going to come back into that squat. This time, see if you can't go just a tiny bit deeper. Toes are facing forward. And then we're going to bring our arms out to the side. So really work on bringing your belly button towards your spine. Releasing your shoulders down your back. Bringing your hands forward. And then we're going to come to standing. And we'll do that 2 more times, and then we're going to go back down to the ground. So again, coming into that squat, fingertips can come to the floor. Hands are going to come out by your side. We'll pause for a breath here. And then forward. And then come all the way back up to standing. And then last time, coming back into your squat. Taking a breath. Arms go out by your side. And then forward. And then come back to standing. Awesome. I'm glad to see all of you guys here today. So now we're going to go ahead and come back or come down to our tabletop position. And you should be familiar with this now. So just start to work through some cat and cows here. And then I'm going to introduce just a few, it's the same sort of things that we've been doing, but we're just going to take a little bit of a different take on it, like I said. All right. So cat and cow, pressing into the mat, spreading your fingers wide. We're going to keep our toes tucked today. And then just give yourself the opportunity to kind of explore the space. If you want to add in some C curves, you can do that. Remember to focus on inhaling and exhaling through your nose if that's possible. That helps calm down your central nervous system. Yeah. So we'll come back to the center position. And like I said, we're focusing on the back line of our body today and really starting to get into some connective tissue. So the idea is by creating tension in our bodies, we should be able to release through the connective tissue, calming our nervous systems down, and then also just getting a really nice release. So same position, we're going to stay in our tabletop for the moment, keeping your toes tucked. You're going to come into this cow position or your cat position. You're going to pull your belly button to your spine. You're going to drop your chin. And you're also going to stay on your toes, pushing back through your heels. And just breathe here. So you should feel some tension in your spine here as we're pulling our chin to our chest. You should feel some tension probably in your ankles and calves as you're keeping your toes tucked, through your arms as you're pressing into the mat. Just another moment here. Nice. And then release back to the center. Now we're going to come up onto our feet into like a low squat. It's okay if your toes, if your heels are off the floor, coming into a low squat and spreading your fingers wide. Same position with your hands. Again, you're going to drop your chin to your chest, rounding through your back body, really pressing through your hands and extending through your arms, dropping your chin. Another round of breath here. Coming back down to your tabletop, keeping your toes tucked, and we're going to go right back into that cat position. So dropping your chin to your chest, tucking your tailbone, really pressing into your mat with your fingers, your palms, stretching through your shoulders, your heels. Releasing the tension in this pose. One more time, you can walk your hands back, coming back into that squat, extending your fingertips forward, pressing your hands into the mat, and then dropping your chin to your chest again. Really press your palms into the mat. That's going to increase the tension, and you should feel some stretch either along your lines, the lines of your arms, or your shoulders, or maybe both. And if you don't, that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. You're probably just, pretty flexible. Nice. Coming back into your tabletop position. One more time, coming into that cow, pulling your belly button to your spine, dropping your chin, pressing into the mat, spreading your fingers wide, keeping your toes tucked. And breathe. Nice. Coming back to a neutral spine. You can move through some traditional cat and cows here if you'd like. And then we're going to move into our downward facing dog. So what I'll say is, if you have any wrist issues, then you may want to come back down to the tabletop position at any point. If you do, just make sure you're keeping your toes tucked. It's perfectly fine. You're still doing a great job. Otherwise, we're going to start with a short stance downward facing dog. And basically all that means is we're coming into downward facing dog, but you're going to come into the short stance so your heels should be able to touch the floor. Your heels touch the floor. In some cases, you have super tight hips. Then you can find something at home to elevate your hands so you're able to do that. Or if you have really tight, hamstrings, quadriceps, you might want to do this. If you don't have any of that, grab a chair and you can do it from here. You can even honestly do it from a wall. So if your heels won't touch the floor, find a wall and do it in this position. All right, I'm gonna show. And the feet are the same no matter which modification you choose to use. So your heels are on the floor and you're gonna lift your toes. So if you notice, once you lift your toes, you start to activate the backs of your legs. So you should feel more of a stretch in your calves and in your hamstrings. So go ahead and release your toes back down the mat, and we'll do that again. So notice your knees are kind of soft in this position. Lock out your knees, and you'll hardly ever hear me say that, unless we're dealing directly with connective tissue. But see if you can straighten your legs, lift your toes, push your hips back toward the ceiling, and notice how that changes the stretch. And then breathe. Make sure you're keeping your toes lifted. You can tuck your chin now, rounding through your neck. Shoulders are still away from your ears. Just another breath. Nice. Okay, and then go ahead and release, coming back down to your tabletop position, and then we'll take a brief child's pose. So knees go wide, toes together, extending your arms forward. If you have super tight hips, it's okay to grab a blanket, put them underneath your hips or a pillow to make this less uncomfortable. And then once in your child's pose, just start to melt in that pose. Again, noticing which parts of your body are touching the mat. Noticing how that feels. Coming back through your tabletop. Coming back into your downward facing dog. So this time we're going to walk our hands out just a little bit more. So it's a more of a traditional downward facing dog. Once you're here, tuck your chin, and then again start to lift your toes off the mat. If your heels are starting not to touch the floor, that's okay. Focus on your toes, focus on activating through your feet, pushing your heels towards the floor. You should feel this in the back of your legs, your calves. You may notice that your knees are locked out. And these series of poses, that's okay. See if you can move a little bit more deeply here in this pose, keeping your chin tucked. Engaging through your core, your hands, your wrists. Nice. And go ahead and release back down to tabletop. And you can always do these poses from here as well. Of course, you're going to be focused on pushing your heels away from you and keeping your toes tucked versus pushing your heels towards the floor. This time we'll just take a simple cat and cow. Coming back into your downward facing dog. We're almost done with the series. So this time, everything that we did before, you're lifting your toes, you're tucking your chin, and this time we're going to start to bend our elbows. Now we're not trying to make contact with the mat in this case. We're just bending our elbows. But notice how you can feel the sensation in your shoulders. It probably intensifies the stretch in your legs. Keeping your toes lifted. And breathe. You may feel a little shaky. That's normal. Releasing your toes, coming back through traditional downward facing dog, coming back down to your tabletop. If you're doing this from your tabletop position, you're going to extend your hands forward and you're just going to bring your elbows towards the floor here. We've got one more just like that. It's coming back through tabletop, pushing back into your downward facing dog. Heels are moving towards the floor, lifting your toes. Hopefully it's getting a little bit easier. Breathing, tucking your chest, And then start to find that bend in your elbows. Notice the sensations that are probably showing up in the tops of your shoulders. And stay with me. We're almost there. And breathe. For 3, 2, and 1. This time just walk your feet up to meet your hands, finding another forward fold briefly. You can let your hands rest on the mat. You can grab your elbows. Just releasing through your neck, shaking your head yes and no. Finding some gentle movement here. And then slowly rolling up to standing. We're gonna, we did something similar to this a few weeks ago. So you're gonna take your hands, interlace them behind your head. Your elbows are gonna come together. You're gonna start with bending your knees. Toes are facing forward. So we're gonna tuck our chin, we're gonna roll down. And you want your elbows to touch your knees. Tucking your chin, hollowing out your belly space, so bringing your belly button in toward your spine as you're here, and breathe. And as you're breathing, notice if you can start to straighten your legs a little bit. And if that doesn't happen today, that's okay. You're really focusing on stretching through that back body. So keeping your chin tucked is important. Maybe you start to straighten your legs all the way. Elbows and knees are touching. Bringing your chin in closer to your chest, really rounding through your cervical spine. And then slowly start to roll back to standing. So we're going to do 2 more like that. This time as we roll forward, start with bringing your elbows to your knees. Stay there if that is where you need to stay today. But we're going to work on getting our elbows a little bit further up our thighs. So try to bring your elbows to above your knee, even if it's only like tiny bit. Release behind your head, elbows go towards the center. Tuck your chin to your chest, starting to round down, keeping your bend in your knees. This time bringing your elbows above your knee. Pulling your belly button into your spine and slowly starting to straighten your legs. It's going to feel really weird, but you know, everything new kind of does, right? Really keeping tension in your entire body, especially your back body. Straightening through your legs, again, if you're able to. Continuing to breathe, you may notice some tightness in the back of your head. You may even feel this in your forehead, your shoulders. Slowly start to bend your knees, coming back up through the center. Awesome. Take a little break with your arms. We'll come back for 1 more. Again, you're working on getting your elbows just a little bit higher than you did last time. So fingertips or fingers interlace behind your head, elbows come together, start to tuck your chest, bend your knees. This time bringing your elbows maybe just a tiny bit further up your thighs. Give your body a moment to acclimate, and then slowly when you're ready, start to straighten your legs. Noticing any sensations that arise. Again, straightening your legs, tucking your chin, remembering to breathe. And breathe. 1 more breath. Bending into your knees again and slowly rising up. Awesome. Shake it out a little bit. We'll come back down to the floor. Whew. We're going to extend through our legs this time. Before we start here, just go ahead and flex and point your toes a bit, rounding through your legs. It's quite a big stretch. So here you might need a towel. I'm going to use a strap, or you can use a belt. But I'll give you options as usual. So do not stress about that. So first, just flex your feet, pulling your heels off the floor, sitting up tall, and breathe. And then release. Maybe point and flex your toes a few times. Then again, flexing your feet, keeping them active, pulling your heels off the ground. And release. And one more time, you can flex and point your toes. Activate your toes, pulling them back towards you, lifting your heels off the floor. Nice, and release. So this time we're going to start by extending our arms out like a T. Palms are facing away from you. Sitting up straight, keeping your feet active. And just for body's sake, so you see what the difference is, allow your feet to go just limp, and you're not keeping them activated. Notice how that feels different. So now if you have your arms extended, palms facing out, activate your feet and notice how you're engaging, how the energy changes in your body and how you're engaging through your entire body, just sitting here, right? So here we're going to tuck our chin to our chest. Notice what sensations arise. This one's a really big one for me. Like I can feel it all the way down my arms and through my shoulders and my neck. And just breathe here. Pushing your shoulders down from your ears, pushing the walls away from you, and just tucking your chest. It's a really simple movement, but for me, it brings up a lot of sensation. Maybe move just a little bit more deeply into a fold here. And then coming back up to seated, you can shake through your arms a minute or a moment. And breathe. Again, keeping your feet active. This time we're going to take our arms out into kind of like a V. It doesn't really matter which position your hands are in. You can kind of play around with that if you want, but your head action is the same. Your feet action is the same, keeping everything activated. You can even pull your heels off the floor a little bit. So this V playing, tucking your chin, and then extending forward. So as you extend forward, like you're reaching for something, you should feel a pretty big stretch in the backs of your legs. Keeping your chin tucked, see if you can't allow your shoulders to move away from your ears. And that's a lot to think about. Maybe you can extend a little bit further out. It's not necessary, but just allow yourself the room to make some growth here. Continuing to breathe. Just another moment. You might feel this in your IT band. And then slowly coming back up, you can shake through your arms again. Maybe you shake through your legs, bring the soles of your feet to the floor, you can windshield wiper from side to side. And after I did this practice on my own, I will say that I noticed some tightness in my hips, but everything felt like it was moving a lot better. So that's pretty normal. Make sure you're drinking lots of water. I'm sure all of you are. This time we're going to come back into this seated position, except I'm going to take my right foot. I'll start with my left foot. I'm going to take my left foot, cross it over my right. And you're working again on keeping your toes active here. You want your leg as straight as it can be, but just depending on like your mechanical makeup, like me, I have short legs, so this is what I got. This is what I'm working with. If you have super long legs, you'll probably notice that leg looks a lot straighter. As far as your arms go, a couple different options. It's right arm, so you can stay here with just your elbow bent, coming into this position. I would encourage you to still use your hand to help you adjust here, but take a strap or a belt if you can't quite make the connection with your hands. Taking your strap or your belt, walking your hands up as close as you can, and then we're going to start to fold forward. So you're just going to start tucking your chin. You're working your right elbow towards your left toe. Again, keeping your feet active, pulling your left toes towards your body. Right elbow is moving towards your toe. You're probably feeling some sensation in your shoulders. And if you need to back off a little bit or just give yourself some more space here, that's okay. Start to tuck your chin just a little bit more. You should start to feel this in the backs of your legs. And then gently start to come up, releasing the bind, unwinding your feet. Again, you can flex and point through your toes or make some circles with your feet. Excuse me. Same thing with your hands, whatever works for you. And then we'll move on to the other side. So this time crossing the right leg on top. So it's going to be your left elbow. So we're going to start by making the adjustment here. If you have the room, maybe you grab your fingertips, or you take a towel or your strap, walking your hands as close as you can. Sitting up straight, then we're going to tuck our chin and then start coming into a forward fold on this side. Again, really important to keep these feet activated because it keeps the line of energy moving. And it actually makes it easier, to get in and out of these positions. So this time your left elbow is moving towards your right toe. Continuing to breathe. Notice the sensations that are coming up for you. Notice the thoughts. Nice. And then coming back to this position, dropping your towel or your belt. Feet come to the floor again. We're going to windshield wiper to both sides. Nice. Coming all the way down to your back. Extending your left foot out. We're going to bring our right knee into our chest first. Again, really important to keep your toes activated toward the ceiling. You could like point your toes too if that felt better. Extending that foot to the ceiling. We're not worried about how close the foot is coming to the upper body. You just really want to push through your heel. Notice how that feels. And it's okay if your leg is down here. Just see if you can get it as straight as you possibly can, no matter where it is today. Then we're going to tuck our chin again, come up into kind of a crunch position. Stretching through both heels, stretching through your back body, through your shoulders. Continuing to breathe. We'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 release. Bringing both knees into your chest, giving yourself a squeeze. Maybe find happy baby before we move on to the other side. Soles of your feet to the floor, grabbing the outside parts of your foot. And then extending that right leg down to the ground. Toes activated toward the ceiling. Left knee comes into chest. You can give it a little bit of a squeeze here. And then start extending that left foot toward the ceiling. Again, maybe it's here, you know, maybe it's closer. You're just working. Maybe the most important thing is pushing the energy of the heel towards the ceiling and to the wall. And then tucking your chin, coming up. Creating some tension here throughout the entire back body. Breathing. Probably feel this in your core for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Roll everything down. Bring your knees into your chest. Awesome. Last pose for the class today is, we refer to it as plow, but anybody that's done like jiu-jitsu and stuff, I don't know, it's got some rolling factors in it. So you're just going to come up, and it might look different for everyone. You're going to bring your feet, maybe they're here, so your toes are above the floor. Maybe you can bring your feet all the way to the floor. Maybe you're here. It doesn't really matter. The most important part is that you are activating the whole, like we've done the whole class, activating through your heels, through your feet. Protect your chin and your neck by tucking your chin. You can hold your back, or you can lay your hands flat on the floor, pushing through your heels, pushing your shoulders into the floor, and breathe. And this can feel a little weird, especially, you know, when we're kind of crunching on our abdomens and our throats, and it might feel awkward. Should feel some tension probably in your back and your neck, maybe even in your forehead or the top of your head. And then super slowly and with control, rolling all the way back down to your back. Bring the soles of your feet as wide as your mat, allowing your knees to meet in the center. Release any tension in your shoulders. And then taking the soles of your feet together, allowing your knees to butterfly to the floor. And then just slowly making your way back up to a seated position. Oh, thanks all of you guys for showing up tonight, or today, I guess I should say, for this little connective tissue session that we did. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, hey Robert, hey John, let me know. I am always here for suggestions. Hey Hal, thanks for showing up. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. I think we'll probably focus on our front body on Thursday. And yay, I'm glad. Thank you all for coming and showing up. And I hope all of you are doing well in this pandemic, as things are constantly changing and questioning our normalcy. But as always, we're in it together, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye.